in order to know which ones we got there and everything. And in the audience, I'm happy to welcome you to conversation. A dear friend of myself and of the world, a true artist in the best sense of the word, and that being Aristedes Philip DuVal. And Aristedes Philip DuVal is an actor, a very good actor, and a tenor. He can sing, he can perform, and he's also somebody who's been almost from the very get-go, from the beginning of public access cable television in Manhattan, has been in the van of being aware of the significance of that. He had associated what was called Papa. It was
in the van?
No, in the van, in the leadership.
Oh, in the vanguard.
In the vanguard.
Yeah, I thought he said I was in the van. It must be the
You
hat.
might have been in the van, but we
must
don't
be
have to
the
talk
hat,
about that.
Harold.
We don't have to talk about that. But anyway, what was it? It was Papa, but it was public. What was it?
As the title say, Public Access Producers and Artists Alliance.
That's
I
right.
founded that. That was the first union of public access producers, and we continue today.
Yeah, you were up to that. That's very, very good. So do me a favor, my brother, to my friend. Tell me about yourself, where you were born and raised and everything, because I've been to a number of the readings you do. It's like Orson Welles. You're really good. No,
Thank you.
I'm not.
Well, both my parents were very theatrically inclined.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
My mother was a florist to the stars, and my father was a continental singer.
Continental. What does that mean, continental?
Well, he sang like, you know, the kind of repertoire you would expect from a Julio Iglesias, only slightly older standards, more semi-classical material.
Were they from the old country?
We're all Greek.
Greek? Oh, you're Greek.
Yeah.
No wonder. Aristedes. I could have never guessed.
Yeah.
I could have guessed.
It's an original Greek name.
And DuVal is Greek?
No, DuVal was my father's stage name.
Oh, I see. It was a stage name.
But it has nothing to do with Charles DuVal or what's the other DuVal? Robert DuVal.
Robert DuVal. Yeah, they're both good. And you've been involved in that from the beginning. Where were you born, raised up? Was it New York?
New York City, Manhattan.
New York,
I really spent
Manhattan.
most of my life in Manhattan.
Did you go to school and all that
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, I went to Stuyvesant High School, which is the
one down on 23rd?
the highest rated high school in the entire United States.
Indeed.
Of the last 100 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's right up there with the
Now, I didn't have the highest rated SATs, but the guys sitting to the left and right of me,
from whom you could copy.
well, not so easily, but they were like 1600s on the SATs.
I don't know how the scoring
Perfect
goes.
score.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the 98th percentile, but they were in the 99th or 100th percentile.
Well, that's a little bit. May, you didn't do very well. You said that's pretty well to be on the 98th percentile on the 1600 scale.
But the difference between 98 and 100 is amazing.
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, it's just amazing.
So you're all for the Tiger Woods. Not just all the other would-be players that only are not winning all the time. In that case, is that what you're saying? The star. That'd be speaking.
Well, they were very bright. Nile Rodgers went to Stuyvesant. Eric Holder, our current Attorney General, went to Stuyvesant.
In your class? He wasn't in your...
No, weren't. We weren't in the same class.
Was Stuyvesant in such a... When you went to high school, was it such as a high rating as it has now? Did it always have a high rating?
It's always been at the top.
Was there a big competition?
100 years.
Competition to get in?
Brooklyn Tech, Bronx Science.
Bronx Science,
I think those are the only two that could even come close.
Really, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And that bespeaks a lot of early studying and paying attention to your books and studies when you were young.
Somewhat.
And your family encouraged you in that?
Yes, they did, yeah.
In studying?
But I was always very theatrically inclined also.
Yeah.
And I really didn't excel at mathematics and chemistry the way many of my...
chemistry can be a son of a gun, yeah.
My peers did, but...
Chem and that, yeah.
Regardless, you know.
So in the SAT, it's the first time I've ever heard it or knew about it. SAT is a score...
1600 is perfect. 800 for math, 800 for English.
Wait a minute, they got the two things, math and English in the SAT thing?
Yeah, each one is 800.
Each one is 800?
That's a perfect score.
And you got into 98%?
I was in the 98th percentile that year, and others had perfect scores.
Wow.
I didn't have a perfect score. I had like...
well, what do you keep saying, 98?
I had 1,400. I was 14-something, 1438, something like that.
Oh, I see, okay.
And that was 98th percentile.
But you were a good student.
Fairly good. I could have been a better student.
Well, you weren't a juvenile delinquent or anything. You weren't
borderline.
Borderline. Okay, borderline. You were running. You were both sides of the tracks or something like that. Yeah. But you had the family, aunts, uncles, that kind of stuff. More show business people back there?
No, not in the rest of the family.
Siblings? You had brothers, sisters?
No.
You were an only child?
Unless Kid Rock might be my half brother or
Chris Rock?
Kid. Yeah,
Rock.
Chris Rock. Yeah.
Chris Rock.
No, Kid Rock.
You call him? You're talking Chris.
Kid Rock. Kid Rock. Kid Rock.
Who's Kid Rock?
Harold doesn't know who Kid Rock is.
I've never heard. No,
Come on, Harold.
There's a lot of things I don't know. I'll tell you that. No,
well,
Kid Rock. Who's Kid Rock? You're making that up.
They all know
You're
who Kid Rock
is.
Your entire audience knows who Kid Rock is.
No.
Yes, they
My
do.
audience is a lot of bankers and stuff.
Well, especially them.
Kid
The guy's
Rock.
a multimillionaire. Are you kidding me?
Kid Rock?
I'm not kidding you.
No. KIDROCK?
Yes, sir.
Really? Okay.
We could be related.
Oh,
If he's not my half brother, he could be my son.
Are you putting me on, or are you
No,
serious?
I'm not putting. Look at the
Kid Rock. You got those great shades. You look good.
No, but he looks
good.
like
Looks like
this.
Miami, yeah.
He does look
Are you
like
playing
this.
a person now as an actor? Are you Kid
No.
Rock as a character that you do or something? No.
You never know.
Yeah.
But what?
Okay, I've just never heard. I have the feeling I've been being put on.
Not really.
Everybody knows Kid Rock. I've never heard of Kid Rock.
Well, how about Lady Gaga?
I've heard, but I don't think I've ever seen.
She's been nominated for 13 Video Music Awards. Not that I care about the Video Music Awards, but this time, as a new artist, this woman has made a big dent, and the video that's going to sweep the VMAs is Bad Romance.
What's VMA?
Lady Gaga, the Video Music Awards.
Now you just assume everybody knows about Video Music Awards.
Well,
Nobody
yeah,
knows
they've been
about
around
Video
for 25
Music
years,
Awards.
Harold.
Yeah, I know, but people. Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not a big MTV fan. MTV really went down the drain years ago as far as real music is concerned.
Is that true? Right?
Yeah.
Where is the real music in the video?
Well, it's
format
not.
being
There
done?
is no. Here's a very fascinating fact.
Yeah.
There is no major music television channel anymore. On air, you could say Fuse TV, still not good enough. There's no really good nonstop major music channel on the air or on the internet.
Yeah, I know you're talking
It doesn't
video.
exist.
You're not talking radio, you're talking video.
Video.
Okay, we got about 9,000 channels, or 900 or something. How
Show
can it
me
be-
one great music channel that's consistently good.
I watch C-SPAN, so I don't know.
That's not a
who
music channel.
I know
Yeah.
that. What I'm saying is it's not.
Oh, I love C-SPAN.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're not watching C-SPAN, you don't know what's going on in the government at all.
Your C-SPAN is
And
great.
people, you got a lot of teabaggers, Tea Party people,
Yeah,
Sarah
that's-
Palin lookalikes. You got a lot of people who think they know what's going on. If you don't watch C-SPAN, you're not finding out what's going on inside the government.
That's true. That's
Of course, we
absolutely
should have had
true.
C-SPAN from the time television started. We should have had C-SPAN radio from the time radio started. But now we have it, and a lot of people ignore it. They think they know what's going on, and they don't bother checking the inside story.
Thank you, Brian Lamb.
Brian
You got
Lamb,
that
that's
started.
right.
And you
Right.
know, that's the only thing outside of public access that is really serious in a sense that is supported by the cable industry.
Right.
Because C-SPAN is totally supported by the cable industry. And what makes possible public access that you've been interested in from the get-go, and me, I
Well,
have
it's-
too, is money comes from the cable industry.
Yeah, the
to
cable
support-
industry
we wanna
is
do a
supporting public
we wanna
access.
do a
So the two great things that the cable industry have done is public access television and C-SPAN.
Thank you. I'd like to link
They
the
are
two.
major achievements in our media today. And without C-SPAN and without public access television, which is like the people's C-SPAN, we would be completely blocked out by corporate news control, corporate media control. And it has really gotten to the point where they can buy the message. I mean, look at Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg Financial Media.
Yeah.
They control the flow of financial information to every yuppie in existence.
Well, he provided a service that's on the desk of every trader in the world, and they have to have it.
But I
because
want to
it's
ask you a
but
question.
It's because it's like you were talking about 98 percentile and all that, because it's really good and absolutely useful and essential. So he provided a good service.
Yeah, but I want to ask you a question.
Anything at
and you know
all.
that Ted Turner had to flee CNN. Ted Turner bailed out of CNN right before the Gulf War.
Don't say nothing bad about Ted
I'm
Turner.
not.
I love Ted
He had
Turner.
to get out. He ran for his life.
I know that. And Gerald Levin.
Before Shock and Awe began.
Yes, I remember that, but Ted Turner had a great hand in this. But I mean,
well, he built CNN.
But I know that.
But then he got screwed out of it. He had to leave.
I know.
Because
I did a program with him.
I think he's a very ethical guy. I don't think
he's a great guy.
I don't think he wanted to sit there while CNN was being used as a propaganda arm of the right wing and the military-industrial complex, and sit there as president of CNN and rubber stamp all of that BS.
Well, wait a minute. He really had a brief with Mr. Murdoch. He thought he was, evil incarnate in that when they were doing it, but everything. But he was a real entrepreneur. TBS, Channel 17, remember the Braves and all that, and did a program with him.
But I'll tell you the truth. I don't think that people should be coming here from Australia or England or Mexico or wherever the heck it is,
illegal?
And then establishing their own television channel according to suit their needs in our country. I think that's wrong. And in fact, I don't think there should be any foreign language station in this country that does more than 50% in a foreign language. I think that's if you're allowed to push your thing over here, show some respect.
Well, I'm trying.
The FCC should do something about that.
Well, that's an interesting talk. I hadn't even thought about that. But I mean, the thing is, you got about hundreds of channels on the cable now, and you had music is so important. And you said there's no good music venue among all those channels that are there. My question to you
ask your viewers.
No, my question would be why. Why isn't there not in the
Well, I'll tell you why in the case of rock and roll. I'll tell you why in the case of rock and roll.
A huge venue, a huge
rock and roll, real rock and roll is part of the. It's so funny. The old style of the music business, the music business when it was more interested in making hits out of real music, rather than making hits out of gangster rap or Britney Spears or any number of quote-unquote artists who really don't have that much talent. Similar to the movie industry, where you have people who have financial and political backing, and they stay at the top for years, rubber stamping out the same crap year after year.
At the production level or the business level?
It's all business.
Yeah.
That's why people are jealous of Paris Hilton, because she's an independent person. She's just as talented as anybody else, okay? If not more so talented than a lot of them. But the fact that she's independent poses a threat to all of these people who are locked in with their Angelina Jolies and Dreyfus and, all these, what's her name? What's the one pretty
Catherine
lady?
Hepburn?
No, not Catherine Hepburn.
I remember Catherine Hepburn.
Nobody.
Ida Lupino.
All right, well.
Sir Arthur Treacher? I remember Sir Arthur Treacher. I'm back into it another time. And it's not just you're saying...
Yeah, but these people had talent.
Yeah, but
these people had character.
Seems that way to me. Yeah. Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart.
You don't see that anymore. It's all about
It's
about who has the business backing in this industry.
Well, didn't it have that too? You had Cecil B. DeMille.
Right. But he had taste.
Well, it was.
He didn't back people just because he was backing them.
Well, you were talking.
He backed people because he felt that they had something to offer.
Yeah, but why?
Not because they were like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the word.
Sorry, Bruce.
Bruce Willis is an actor.
Yeah, he's all right.
I don't know how. I don't know from rock and roll. I love
Will Smith. Same movie every time.
My favorite movie that came out of the '60s, that moment of '69 Woodstock and all that. The best music that came out of all that to me, and I want to commend you. I did a little search about Aristedes on there, and you came up just a couple of days ago at a memorial service for that legendary voice of the immortal Thule Kupferberg, who just passed.
Well,
Thule Kupferberg was a true hero of mine, and Ed Saunders, and my favorite album ever, more than rock and roll, Stones or anything, was It Crawled Into My Hand, Honest. That was it with Ed Saunders with a football, and it was all satire and mocking of the system.
Well,
it was
the Fugs,
and Thule was gorgeous.
The name of the band was the Fugs, F-U-G-S.
Yeah, right.
Now they were a very iconoclastic band. They were the
Goddess. They don't make songs
first
like that anymore.
They were the first popular rock band to do out-and-out sarcastic satire scatology, the use of curse words and banned words, but a lot of it came from a very, from a political perspective and from a satirical perspective and social commentary.
Right.
And,
who was it dealt this mess? How is it we end up always voting for the lesser of two evils?
Well, yeah, they had songs
and
like...
they did skits off Southern accent and everything. They were brilliant.
Slum Goddess of the Lower East Side.
Goddess, yeah. They don't make songs like that anymore.
Well,
you know?
well, Frank Zappa did, to a degree.
Was good. Yeah, Zappa was a hell of a composer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real music, yeah.
And then you had the Ruttles, Neil Innes and the Ruttles. I worked with Neil Innes.
Did you really?
Yeah. But I knew Thule. I knew Thule Kupferberg of the Fugs.
Yeah.
And not the Thugs, the Fugs, F-U-G-S. These guys were all Harvard grads.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I spoke
like
to Ed Sanders at Thule's funeral at...
how is he doing?
At the St. Mark's Church on the Bowery.
Yeah.
And he said that he had no... respect for, I guess, for one of his old labels, ESP Disc. Now, I worked for ESP Disc.
Did you? Yeah.
And I produced also for the Duke Ellington Foundation. I produced UN World Day in 1999 in the General Assembly.
Good for you.
And the president of ESP Disc.
ESP Disc was a record
one of the first avant-garde record labels in the 60s.
60s. Okay,
yeah.
Right.
So I worked for him a long time ago, and I worked for him recently. Mm-hmm. But Ed has nothing to do with that label, I'm sorry to say. And then the other person I saw there was Peter Stamfel from the Holy Modal Rounders, and he said he didn't want to have anything to do with ESP. It's a shame, you know.
What happened? It got
these are other stories. But I mean, talking about music, I was at the New Music Seminar, which was run by Tommy Silverman. And he reconstituted it. He used to have it years ago. I think he was involved with the Copeland brothers, who launched Sting and the Police, by the way. But then they stopped for about 10 years, and they started last year.
Well, those are like managers or agents?
The New Music Seminar involves everybody in the industry.
Copeland brothers, what is their role?
Well, their father was the director of the CIA.
Okay.
And one Copeland played drums for Sting and the Police.
Okay.
And the other Copeland ran FBI booking and CIA management.
Like in advertising or those things, you got a couple sides.
Can you believe that?
You got the business side, and you got
still cutting my head off.
you got the conservative, you got the creative side, and then the business side. Who runs it? Is it the creative wagging the dog of the business, or the business wagging? Do you know? How is music?
Music was still creative then. Now
you
it's
don't have rock and roll. Rock and roll on television. For some reason, there used to be, now there's not. I'm interested in what is it that, and we're talking about television, you're talking about multimedia. What are the dynamics by which things come on the cable television, let's say, or multimedia channels?
Well, that, I hate to say this,
bring these situations around. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I hate to say this, but I mean, if the American public would accept all manner of ethnic stars, there would be nothing left for anybody else in this country. I mean, right now you've got a wave of illegal immigration. Okay.
What's a big?
It's killing the middle class in this country and the poor.
Well, I think there are larger issues that might be doing that.
Larger?
Anyway,
no, you don't think that? Well, listen, let me tell you something. If you're an artist in this country now, you're an American citizen like I am.
Yeah.
And you try to make a living here. First of all, they got these reality shows. Public access paved the way for reality shows. Reality shows are not real.
What is a reality show?
Crap. A reality show basically is a lot of crap.
No, what's the concept? I don't know.
It's how can you bullshit the public and cheat the union actors and put a lot of people out of work. That's a reality show. How can you control? How can you control the medium and keep people stupid?
Well, that would sound like a broader brief against the whole industry.
Well, the producers, listen, the producers unified. The big producers are very big. There's only 5 or 6 major record companies in the world now.
There used to be many more?
Major
Yeah.
They have hundreds of subsidiaries under each one of these majors. They're all conglomerated.
Are you talking television, or are you talking?
I'm talking media in general. There's tremendous media consolidation, and that's why public access television and C-SPAN are so important.
I couldn't agree with you more on that.
So now, for instance, even with our unions are all being compromised in this country by illegal labor, illegal practices, and look what's happening with Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, American Federation of Television Radio Artists. We should have merged because all of the big producers around us merged. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they play one union off against the other now. And I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild. Yeah. And I don't like what the AFTRA leadership is doing to SAG right now. Uh-huh. And they're like trying to like zone us out.
Yeah, but you think it's because there's other ethnic things coming in. There's always been ethnic.
Well, that's not because.
Market,
no, I'm just making I'm making an analog. You bring in illegal ethnic labor, and then
well, you do that by outsourcing.
By ethnic, I mean anybody who's not an American citizen.
Okay, but
it could be English, it could be Irish.
Yeah, but you're
matter.
also doing that, Aristedes, by outsourcing. So you can do it over somewhere else where they have slave labor.
You can screw over the American citizenry in a number of ways.
Screwing over more adroitly the citizenry of the world, where you don't have to worry about any environmental standards or anything, and they got slave wages.
Right.
By outsourcing
to another country.
Because
the government doesn't stand up to the corporations. It doesn't, we have that tax cut for the rich has got to go. That's like $700 billion. And that money does not return businesses here because they just give us the finger anyway and say, we're going to leave if you don't like what we're doing. If you don't like the fact that we're using illegal labor, we're going to outsource. So then then people back off and say, well, we can't do that, can we? But the thing is, you can't bend to this. Otherwise, we're losing the whole ball game in this country. We're losing it all across the board in every single industry in this country.
Yeah. There's only about 6% of the private sector as union representation now. Used to be more in the day. My granddaddy in Detroit was an organizer. Labor organizer, but they didn't have labor unions.
I'll go like this because I don't like my head being cut off on the top.
He was a guild. It was a guild, lithographers, and then and Henry Ford, we're from Detroit, and Henry Ford, when he was about 10 years old, used to tinker in the garage of my maternal grandmother's house on 16th Street in Detroit. He was destined to set up an assembly line system. Remember, he'd make the Model A and everything. And the vast majority of people at the turn of the 19th, 20th century is single-family farmer. And then along came the combines and whatnot in industrial farming, and all the people went to Detroit, and he had to have those people to turn those nuts all day long on the line, and he was able to pay $5 a day, so you got demand into the hands of the people.
But what's your point, Harold?
Well, the big change came, I don't know that it's all these illegal immigrants and so forth, as you say.
You don't.
It's a larger
problem. There's 30 million illegals in this country.
Well, all right, but that is, Mr. Dodds has been talking about.
He's right.
Dobbs.
Look, I don't agree with the Tea Party people about a lot of stuff.
I wanted to make the point.
I am not a Republican.
Can I make the point?
What is the point?
Well, the point is that it really began with Reagan.
Henry Ford?
No. The labor unions were really relevant. You had a golden time after the Second World War. You can go work in a factory and raise all your kids through college and everything, and you were middle class. They built the middle class, and that's gone since Reagan. When he busted Papco.
Well, Motown.
They struck.
Going back, Motown was a function of the black middle class coming to a certain stasis in economic parity in Detroit.
Well,
so
Motown
wasn't about people who were like out on the street begging for a dime.
No, but what I'm trying to say is it's larger.
That was the effect of unionization and the middle class getting.
Yeah, but it came to a pretty pass after Reagan, and when he was able to say, "Okay, air traffic controllers go on strike," and then he fired them all. Remember?
Right. Well,
do you remember? And he was able to do
Reagan.
that?
Reagan. I will always remember Reagan for putting the wreath on the Bitburg Cemetery, the Nazi SS cemetery.
That's another issue.
No, it's not another issue. It shows you who Reagan was. Reagan was a freaking Nazi lover.
He was a supply side.
He was a Nazi lover.
In terms of economy, he was a supply side guy.
Reagan was a Nazi. He kissed the ass of the Nazis that were in Germany at the time and here. There's plenty of them around. He's a Nazi-loving, creep.
Well, you didn't.
Reagan was not a great man.
You apparently didn't like
and by
the
the way, I apparently
well,
didn't like the
there
man.
he goes
A lot
again.
of people think Reagan had John Lennon assassinated. How do you like that?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people think a lot of strange
That's
things.
right. No, but a lot of but who tells you to think?
Yeah.
If you don't question
the
everybody, me, him, you, the TV, the
to
radio,
do with
the internet,
theory.
just because it's some media doesn't mean it's true.
I was trying to get a straight answer out of you why we don't have good music on the television.
Because of greed and monopolization.
There's always been greed, hasn't there?
Monopolization.
Is monopolization the thing where you were talking about 80? We started talking about 1,600 on an SAT, and you were only in the 98th percentile.
Yeah.
And I mentioned a name like Tiger Woods. Or you could have
well,
said
Tiger Woods is oversold. I mean, Tiger Woods is a very talented guy, but frankly,
very talented.
I can live without him.
Well,
I couldn't care less, really.
Yeah, but you're not the American citizen or the marketer or everything. And the thing is, it's stars. They want stars. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants a star.
Yeah, but they want their star to tell you how to think. They want to bend you to their will by manipulating who their star is.
And overall, they want to sell you either a ticket to sit a bum in a seat in a movie theater or to buy cornflakes.
Right.
It's all about marketing.
Right, and in the meantime, they kick people out of Carnegie Hall, like Adita Sherman.
I heard you talking
Adita
about
Sherman, the Duchess of Carnegie Hall.
a certified angel.
Yeah, well, she helped us to save the bandshell in Central Park.
Did she really?
When Betsy Gottbaum wanted, she was the Commissioner of Parks, she wanted to tear it down.
I'm really sorry.
And the Conservancy wanted to tear it down.
Yeah.
And they got all that money from the Christos because Bloomberg pushed the Christos through. No one would do the Christos gates.
You mean
I had dinner
yellow?
with the Christos with my ex-wife years ago.
The yellow?
Yeah, they're horrible gates of Central Park. The worst thing the Christos ever did.
Really?
All the ancillary money, all the money from that, all the sketches, the posters, the bumper stickers, the keychains, all that money went to the Central Park Conservancy. They didn't spend one dime rehabbing the Naumburg bandshell, the Central Park bandshell.
Did it need help do that? Or they haven't done it?
They were going to knock it down. They kept saying it's structurally unsound. They didn't spend one dime to fix it. And additionally, as I said, Adita Sherman helped us to save it.
I love Adita Sherman. She's wonderful.
And the other thing is that the Central Park Conservancy, the big shots, they can't even provide a clean bathroom at the Central Park Boathouse.
I know.
So why do they keep collecting that money?
The worst thing of all was taking down Pennsylvania Station, if you ask me. I can't believe it. They put up that rat trap. And they're going to build now, they're going to build, I mean, do you remember where they've turned down that building?
Yeah, well, I was kind of young for that, but yes, it was a horrible thing.
In memory. That they
tearing down Penn Station.
That Beaux-Arts thing, that was really a crime.
Yep.
Anyway, there's a lot of things going on like that. And I still haven't gotten an answer. It's just greed. Well, there's always been greed.
Well,
I mean, why we don't have good rock and roll music and video?
There is good rock and roll music, but there is no main rock and roll TV or internet channel that really has continually good rock and roll. For those of you who love rock and roll.
Yeah, my daddy used to, he was a lawyer, right? My daddy used to say to me, son, there's no accounting for taste. So you got all the taste and the market does it, and you said, I heard you say disparaging words. Never will be heard a disparaging word about the new, what do you call it? The
New World Order all day.
No, the New World Order, no, the hip hop. So you got a new thing that comes, and when rock and roll came,
it's not just about that. Look,
they said, I want Lawrence Welk. The old people want one thing. Maybe you're just getting old. You're not hip with the movement, with the youth.
But maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
So you think you want the classic rock and roll?
No, that's not the point.
No, what is?
That's not the point.
You don't understand what I'm saying.
That's not the point. Ronald Reagan, for instance, claimed that he brought down the Berlin Wall, and he brought about the Russians, walking away from communism. No, it was rock and roll. Well, it wasn't gangster rap, it was rock and roll. Okay? Gangster rap is all about gangster capitalism, by the way. It's about racism, gangster capitalism, misogyny, hard drugs, jail, and murder.
Well, that's because so much of that is the life of the people who write the music. They're talking about the reality.
Guess what? You keep focusing on that, and you're going to continue to get deeper into that. You can't keep focusing on what's wrong unless you're willing to do something about it. And just glorifying it is not doing something about it. It's amplifying the problem. You got thousands of kids out there of every stripe who think it's cool to be a gangster.
Well, they got the examples of our whole business class to
well, who do you think is funding it?
Well, I don't. Probably the business class.
It's all the big banks that are involved in gangster rap.
They're learning from the seniors.
But they pull the money away from real music. They pull the money away from real musicians.
Real music
and they
is
put the money into propaganda, which is a very pro-war, actually, also, because it's militarizing the youth. Video games, violent video games, all of this crap is being promoted by millionaires and billionaires and major corporations.
Well, you said something about music is in the ear of the receiver.
No,
music. You said music.
No,
they put bad music.
They're going to give you the music. They're going to give you the music that's bought and paid for.
They're going to pay. They're going to get the music by which they can make the most money.
The music that they want to push on you
right.
is what's going to make the most money. They decide. They decide to push this stuff on you. They decide to push it on you. Then they will make the money because they have the distribution, they have the promotion, they have the funding to hype it, to shove it down your throat. If you make a blockbuster movie, many times a third or half of that budget is promotional. You're not if you don't tell people, oh, you got to see this movie 50 times a day on television, who's going to go and see it? The stars, even though they're the stars, they're not great stars anymore. It's all about hype.
But hasn't always promotion been a big part of showbiz?
Not like it's been the last 20 years. I mean, this has been the hype machine of hype machines. I mean, shameless.
Well, maybe you just don't like what's being hyped.
Of course I don't.
If they were hyping what you liked,
of course I don't, because I'm not a dummy. I don't just sit there and swallow everything they force on you.
What do you like?
What I like.
I know you. I mean specifically, we agree. One thing we can all agree on: the Fugs were great.
The Fugs were great. The Fugs were great. Yeah. But I mean, between the Fugs and now, there was another, 1,000 bands that were great.
Yeah, but you could you pays your money, it takes your choice, as they used to say.
No, it's not that simple. You're living in a media environment.
Okay.
You're living in a media environment.
Right.
They're going to push on you whatever suits them and their stockholders, not because it's good necessarily.
Well, that's an aesthetic.
But because it sends you in a particular direction to think a certain thing or to not think at all.
The Hidden Persuaders.
The Hidden Persuaders, Vance Packard.
God bless him. We did a program. He was a grand guy. And he used to be able, in advertising and PR. And that's what it is. So we're like sheep.
Well, look at Markopoulos, the Greek. I'm proud to say I'm a Greek. Markopoulos, 10 years ago, gave the report to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, that Madoff could not possibly be running a legitimate operation. Markopoulos had a mathematical analysis. He gave this out 7 times. A 29-page, a 17-page or 29-page report, 17 bullet points.
Right.
Okay. You're telling me that the financial reporters in this town, the Bloombergs and the Wall Street Journal people, and all these geniuses who have millions of dollars of electronic communications at their disposal, nobody heard about this?
They didn't have enough staff at the FCC to pursue it, or whatever.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm telling you that Bloomberg knew.
Yeah,
I'm giving you an exclusive that if anyone has a brain out there, do you think Bloomberg didn't know what Madoff was up to?
I can conceive possibly that he didn't. He had a huge reputation. Everybody was throwing money at him and everything. He had a Ponzi scheme. And the thing is that
plus they're in the same community. They're from the same group of individuals.
Well, there are a lot of people operating shady and everything like that seem to be very respectable, making all kinds of civic contributions and everything like that, doing well, and they turn out to be crooks.
There's going to be a big shake-up
a lot of people
coming. There's going to be a big shake-up coming. And they're going to try to start another war so everybody can get away with all the crime that they've been pulling.
That's really criminal. Yeah, when they start a war.
We're hanging on the precipice.
Yeah.
Because the hard right in Israel, which is the military-industrial complex,
is something else, man.
And the guys who are with them here, which is a lot of Republicans too, they want to push a war with Iran.
They sure do.
Okay? If they do that, they're going to start World War III, because Iran is not going to just sit down there and let them bomb them and look up and say, oh, gee, we're not going to fight back. We're going to do the Saddam Hussein thing, and they're not going to do that. They're not just going to sit down and take it.
How?
So, you know, these hard right people, these warmongers, these military-industrial people, these bankers, these political cliques, these cabals, and all the people who are pushing all this illegal stuff are really trying to destroy the middle class in this country and atrophy the population and thin out the population and create a new world order. Okay, and that crap has got to stop.
Thin out the population, illegal. What they're
pitting groups of people against each other.
Well, they've always done that, divide and conquer.
Yeah, but now it's much bigger.
It's bigger, and
it's on a bigger scale
again.
Again.
Things have changed. It's always been like that. You've always had a few people running everything. Emperors in Rome.
So what are you trying to say?
You weren't too far over. The Greeks were.
So, but what are you saying? But that doesn't. Everything is not everything, Harold.
Periclean Greece was
everything is everything.
System.
Everything is everything. Look, you ever hear of Royal Wing?
Everything is everything. in DuValville.
Not in my life.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. Okay, well, no, but you throw these things up. But I mean, so do you think anything's changed between history? It's always been a few people run everything. The mass of the people are.
Wait a minute.
Serfs.
It's not always been like that.
Well, wait a minute. All right,
okay?
Stop a minute.
It's not always been
Pharaohs
like that.
in Rome, Nebuchadnezzar. Pericles in Greece. There was a little try at something called democracy, but it was really slave. It was a slave system, the Elots. Emperors in Rome. Kings in the feudal Europe, and the serfs were all like wallowing around in the mud.
What you're
always
saying is,
there's been a few people who run things. Everybody else is like serfs on their estate, doing what they're told. The Duke,
let me tell you something.
The Duke in the feudal system, they would go and lose an estate.
We will be like serfs.
They would lose the estate. The Duke, the brash young Duke coming up, or Earl or something, he'd lose the estate, and in a crap game. Okay, and what goes with it? I got so many pigs, so many cows, so many serfs, and the serfs went along, and it's still like that.
Right.
So few people own and control everything, and we're all like serfs on a feudal estate.
Well. If the illegal thing continues and the phony terrorism thing continues. And the oil companies continue to hold sway the way they have and manipulate society, we will revert to serfdom. We won't have any unions. We won't have any laws.
They're going. There's only
we will have fiefdoms.
You don't have any.
We will have the territory of Arizona fighting with the territory of the next state, and run by the Duke of Arizona.
The unions don't
pitting the slaves of Arizona against the slaves of Texas. That's what's going to happen if this continues. We will be living in a modern world of complete psychosis and idiocy.
Outside of
with
that,
the drug companies administering to everybody.
Outside of that, everything would be great.
But
I mean, there's practically, I think it's about 6% of the private sector is unionized labor. Unionized laborers have been busted. There is no labor. And Lord Keynes said in 1930 that the trend, the zeitgeist, what was going on, you're going to be confronted with something that's unable to be understood, but it will appear, and it'll be in the maturity of your grandchildren from 1930 to be about now, massive. And the thing he didn't say because people are nasty. They've always been nasty. Massive, technologically induced unemployment. So the
Right,
unemployment
right.
that's coming now
Right.
is coming in larger dimension other than what, and we're confronted in these next few months. Everybody's baffled now because they've gone through the stimulus and everything, and they're talking more about a
But wait a minute,
Let
wait
me
a minute,
finish a
wait a minute. They
sentence.
haven't gone through the
A
stimulus. They
jobless
have not gone
discovery.
through the stimulus. The other thing is this:
I can't get a
the
thought
government is
in
giving
Ezra.
$35 billion subsidy to the oil companies and giving billions in subsidy to farmers who don't farm. And the GOP continues this, okay?
Yeah,
The
we know
GOP
that.
has
That's
to be
normal
thoroughly
politics.
defeated. If we don't defeat the Republicans completely and utterly, they are going to come back and they're going to finish the job, the contract that they started on America, on you and me, and the middle class and the poor. They're going to come back and finish us off for good.
Well,
If you are stupid enough
yeah, but did you
to
hear?
vote for most Republicans, I'm not saying all Republicans are bad, but as far as I'm concerned, the Republican Party should be banished and annihilated.
Yeah, but it's not going to be.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I mean, I can't see it. Do you? I mean, they're
Well,
gonna.
see, they're making a plan B already. They got
Yeah.
this Tea Party thing in the wings just in case that happens.
Right.
But the Tea Party is just as
But
crazy.
the thing is, Lord Keynes was talking about is apart from the normal politics as is reported in the news with Tea Parties and Republican, it is in the zeitgeist that the technology is displacing labor, and we have.
Well, then we all should have a part of that. We
Well,
should
no,
all
wait
have
a minute.
a share. We should have a share in ownership of
We
this better
have no
technology
share.
that we basically, a lot of it is created in America today, the inventions and the patents and the trademarks, and then we farm it out to other countries to mass produce.
We talked about outsourcing.
If we're going to farm it out and outsource it, then every citizen here, every citizen in this country
Or
should
this
have a
world.
financial stake in the returns from those profits, from
But
that
we're
manufacturing.
caught. You'll notice
And
you-
why not?
Well,
I
you-
mean, what is an American citizenship worth today if anybody can just walk in and say, they can, oh, hey, I'm here, I could take your job.
Well,
I can do
you-
whatever I want. I can come here not being a citizen and hire 500 illegals and ignore everybody, ignore the law, never learn the language, never adopt the culture, flaunt the health laws, the safety laws, never vote here, don't vote in your own country, export the money all out, and do as I please. What kind of a law, what kind of a nation is that?
Well, it's
a mishmash.
Well, that's sort of a scapegoating thing, in my view.
What do you mean, scapegoating
Yeah,
who?
scapegoating people. When it's
Well,
really,
there are some people who deserve the blame.
But you didn't seem to listen to the premise of Mr. Keynes, and that was that no matter what, it's in the zeitgeist, it's in the movement, and we're moving because there's been a consistent pattern of more and more of the actual production taking place. You don't need workers, okay? Now wait, you don't...
Well, then how come we're hiring so many illegals if we don't need them?
Well, they're hiring to mow
Come
lawns
on,
and
Harold.
things, but
Come
they're
on,
doing
Harold.
that.
I
with
mean,
that.
you're going to the extreme now.
No, listen. I mean, the thing is that you're going to be hearing more and more.
They seem
jobless.
to think that 35 million illegals are necessary here.
Well, it's an important issue. Okay, it's important, but it's
Got you on that one.
no, it's not getting anything.
But I
it's
got
just,
you on that one.
But larger, and in the world pattern, the work, the only way that the mass of the people, not the ones who are the 20% being benefited at the top, like always there's been, of the world society, and each political entity
the 5%.
has to get in, well, probably,
Yeah.
okay, being very generous. But the only way they have to get income to buy, like bread, supposedly legitimate, or maybe a little cream for the baby or something like that, is to have what we call a job.
So,
And you're talking now that the jobs, they're having a jobless, that's the only way for people to get income. They don't own any assets.
Right.
And the progressive community, the left wing, they've always said, well, that's legitimate, because then they could get maybe a better minimum wage.
well, it is legitimate. Having a job is legitimate. But what you're
the jobless
saying is
recovery
that,
is coming apart, not from malice, but from the inevitable evolution of the world. And it's happening, and they're displacing people, and they're displacing as laborers.
If the government is not going to speak up for the people or give the people ownership in anything,
Well,
and
wait a
let
minute,
everybody
they don't give the
get
people-
walked over by any corporation or any wave of immigration
Yeah, but
or any other
you don't listen.
war
Why don't
or
you listen?
stupidity.
All you do is talk. Listen,
It's a question of governance, Harold.
No, it's a.
No?
Where's the blame?
Who's going to make it happen?
Who's the blame?
Who's going to make it happen?
It's not the business guys. It's not the
really?
politicians. It's
Why?
not the
Why
Republicans.
not? Why not?
It's not.
Why?
I don't think it is because
Why?
it's not their business to tend to it. You know whose problem it is? It's left-wing intellectuals. The so-called progressives are the problem.
Listen, everybody is
because
the problem
they do not
unless they're the solution.
No, they do not.
Okay, you're telling me you're exonerating all these other guys.
Right.
And you're saying they could just keep on keeping on, keep on pumping oil, keep on just doing what you've been doing for the last 100 years.
Right.
No, can't.
Yeah, no,
you
that's,
can't.
No, that, no.
You can't keep on keeping on.
No, I'm saying that in the sense that where the answers are supposed to be coming from the intellectuals. It's the intellectuals are because they accept.
It doesn't matter where the answer comes from as long as it's the correct answer.
Well, you're not going to get the answer from a lion that's eating an antelope. The
What the hell is
lion, the
that?
banker, and the people.
Why? Some
The
bankers
lion-
have a brain.
the
Not every
lion-
banker is an idiot.
No, but you see, but you
Not every banker is a
you're
voracious
not going
vampire.
to get answers.
Not
from
every
people.
Republican is a bad
Somebody
person.
said
Not
one
every
time
illegal is
not-
wrong-minded.
No, but on
I'm
the
not
whole they
saying
are.
that.
On the whole they are. And it's part of the game, and it's part of the system. And
Well-
somebody once said, like for instance, economics is too important to be left to the economists. Or wars are too important to be left to the general.
I agree.
Okay, so it's
But
going
the
to
average
the
person-
answers of what's going on. They're going to be getting a conundrum now.
I don't care
The
who
next-
has the answer
No,
as
no.
long as
Yeah, but it'd be
it's
nice
a
if
good
we had
answer.
one. Yeah, we
We
don't.
have plenty of answers.
We don't.
We have tons of
We
answers.
don't have anything that's
We don't have
politically
enough
viable.
people listening.
No, we don't
have
have
enough
the
people
answer. They
acting on
can't
them.
answer to something when there's no answer.
That's
they
not
can't
true.
go
That's not
because
true.
they're all caught up, with all due respect, on the labor theory of value. It informs
listen,
all
look,
economic theory.
labor is
that labor is legitimate. Getting a job, having a job, distribute income and demand ability to clear the market is going to be by your labor, and they celebrate
You're not going to
that.
have a totally laborless
No, but to
society.
the degree you're moving in that direction, that's the direction we are moving, and that's the direction that everything's moving. And the assets are all owned by a tiny class.
Right.
And all the proper progressives say is,
So
let's get everybody
the
a
people
job.
out there who don't
They have to have
understand
something.
this, which is most of the public does not understand that if you're for instance, I'm just addressing Americans right now.
What happened to
American
the
citizens,
cup?
okay? People who have lived in this country all their lives or have real roots here and care about what happens in this country.
Yeah.
Not people who are just guesting here and doing whatever they want.
Well, I still think
Okay.
this is a
I'm talking-
nation
I'm
of
talking-
immigrants.
Yeah, so what?
Well,
okay,
you
so
came
what?
from Greece.
But
I'm
so
English.
what?
What'd you
It's
come
also
over
a
here taking
nation
my
of
job?
laws. It's not supposed to be a nation of stupidity.
Well, it hasn't got the right laws. And it's going to be confronted
does
with.
have the right
They're going to
laws.
be confronted with the jobless recovery. It's going to mess up the entire economy because the intellectuals are
Right.
falling down on the job.
And you, as an intellectual, what have you done about it?
Well, I've tried to bring it up. Nobody listens. All they do is say, "Let's get a job for everybody."
Yeah.
Like they're a serf. We got to get them a rake
like
to
I
rig
was
things
saying,
up.
American citizens deserve to have a piece of the pie.
Wait a minute. Stop. They don't.
Yes, they do.
It's all concentrated within a very small group, except a little bit that got.
You're arguing for that small group. I'm saying that for this country.
No, I'm
to
arguing for
progress,
the idea that
according
they should,
to your theory.
No, I'm arguing for the fact that let's say there's a combine that produces 50,000 tons of wheat. They should own one nut on that combine as a way of getting income.
I agree.
To buy,
I
because
agree.
that's the way technology is becoming the source of
let's put it this
the
way.
production,
By
not the labor.
By having an American system or whatever system in the world that you want to talk about.
Well, you need an economic system.
In this case,
that's
we're talking about our country, the United States.
No,
of
the
America.
world. It's the
No, but
same
I'm talking
world.
about the United
Yeah, but you
States
put
right
it in
now.
a world context.
Well, you do
a guy,
that, okay?
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
should.
talking about this country.
Well, I know,
okay?
but
I can't address everything for everybody
because
else.
the principle's
I'm
the
just
same
talking
everywhere.
about
It's
this
just
country,
more. It's just
okay?
more accentuated
Okay.
in this country.
This country, I believe,
They gotta have
according to what you said, I believe that every citizen should have a stake in the progress and the productivity of this nation.
Productivity.
And it should be a financial stake, and it should be a payable outcome. Not welfare, but because you're an American citizen, because you're part of a functioning part of this system, and this system breeds new technologies, new patents, new ideas, and new modes of conducting society.
Technological
Therefore,
production.
you deserve to share in the fruits of that creation.
You use
and
the
it's
term,
not a bad idea
you
at all.
use the term productivity is always measured in...
Multinationals have no allegiance to the United States.
Well, that's another issue, but they've got
these
stock.
corporations
They've got
act like
stock,
they're patriotic.
They've got stock ownership
it's a
and
joke.
capital.
They wave the flag in
what
your face
they have,
so that you can think that they're on your side.
But
they are not giving you a damn thing.
They have stock. The people who are in the stock owning class have stock ownership of capital assets. The people, the mass of the people, have no ownership of stock assets that would bring.
The mass of the people,
all they have
is the government ultimately. And if the government says, for your corporation to have the right to be here and to make this kind of profit and to make this product and to have this abundance coming to you, you're going to have to give a little back to the citizenry.
A little bit.
Directly. Not with public relations bullshit, but directly as a payout.
Why not give them
a share?
Yeah.
What's wrong
well,
with
that is an alternative way of distributing demand other than labor. They say get a job.
Well, okay. Well, we just.
So no, but don't you understand what I'm saying?
No,
you seem to be.
I think you're
you seem not
yourself.
to be. No, they say the way to distribute income to the people, the mass of the people, is to create an assembly line or a place, a corporate enclave or something, where they will work and then get what they call a salary.
Well, that's
called jobs.
Yes,
they're not getting the jobs because
that's old style thinking.
No, it's not old style thinking. It is still informing. That's what everybody's worried about. You got to get jobs for the people, and you got this unemployment, and it's going to grow.
Listen, let me put it to you this
and
way.
as long as the left says yes, that's right.
It has nothing to do with the left.
It
okay,
is. That's where the
let me
problem
tell you
is.
something here. If you're losing your apartment or your home right now, and you're living in this country, and you're a citizen of this country, you have a right to get a job and to save your apartment or your home. You don't need to be living in the street because somebody else came here out of the blue and decided that their needs were more important than yours.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't go for that.
That's looking at a
So
different
if you want to go to
issue.
the next step and say, okay, we don't have to base value on labor theory, fine. But right at this very moment, how are you going to take care of those Americans that are losing everything?
Well, do you think you think we're going to hear more talk about a jobless recovery?
Listen, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a mass migration of roughly 25 to 30 million people out of this country.
To where?
To wherever they want to go.
Yeah, but where are they going to go if
That's not my concern at the moment.
Why?
If Mexico doesn't, for instance, just for instance, if people don't want to vote here, and they don't want to vote in Mexico, but they're from Mexico, they're destroying their own future, and they're destroying the future of this country. They need to vote in their own country. And they don't need to drain the finances of Americans here who are losing their homes. And would you go to Mexico and take away somebody's job?
Well,
I wouldn't.
You've got that thing as something. You seem to have a thing about the immigration. That's an issue and everything.
It's a major issue.
But if
Obama had a brain right now, he would send 5,000 people to that border, not 2,000, not 1,000. I'm completely in agreement with Arizona, okay? And listen, I am not a police state advocate. I am not a Republican. I don't even believe that, listen, man, I don't agree with most of these people on anything. I don't like Giuliani. I never liked him. I don't like a lot of these people. I feel there's a lot of people in jail unjustifiably. But the point is here that if you're going to come to this country and you don't want to learn the culture, you don't want to learn the language, you don't want to do the safety practices, you don't want to join a union, you're going to grab 3 jobs for a short period of time, thereby putting 2 or 3 other people out of work. You don't pay into the system at all. You're a drain on the health system. You're not voting here. You're not voting in your own country. Then what are you doing? You're fantasizing.
Well,
and anyone who's willing to tolerate this is willing to tolerate the demise of this country.
Well, the demise of the country might be, and it's the same everywhere. It's just more marked here, but that's a side issue.
That's not a side issue.
Well, to me,
it's a very central issue.
No, the main issue is how are we going? You got 2 things. Simple.
Yeah, but first, solve the first problem.
Well, this first problem is to have an economic.
The first problem is if the middle class in this country collapses,
it's going to.
Then your next solution is moot, because only the middle class in this country operating consciously can really change the future of the world and enact a lot of the things that need to be enacted.
Well,
if
what
the middle class in this
I'm
country
wondering what needs to be enacted.
Doesn't wake up. We are not going to just lose this
wake
country.
Up to
We're
what?
going to lose a way of life
we
thought was something that could never be turned backwards.
Right, that's what Mr. Keynes said.
Wake up, America.
And it may be that with the weapon systems we have, it may lead to political instability that will unleash the weapons of destruction, including those within the American arsenal.
We already
and
have depleted uranium in the Middle East.
We now can wipe out the entire species with our weapons.
We're hurting a lot of people, okay? Not only us, but other countries. A lot of people are being hurt. And, the ancient cultures had a lot of wisdom. And I, being a Greek of Greek extraction, I have to say that I think a lot of young people now are looking to the philosophy and the understanding of ancient cultures.
Well,
and in many cases, ancient Greek culture. And I've been surprised how many different people have come up to me and said, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and they say, man, we love the Greeks, we love Plato and Socrates and
don't forget Aristotle.
Archimedes, Aristedes, Aristotle, whoever.
Listen, we're coming
and it's
right.
amazing because they know all the playwrights.
Well, one thing
they know all the culture, and it's like I'm looking at these people.
Well, you've heard it here, and you wouldn't hear it anywhere else. All of this kind of talk, except everywhere on public access, and he's a pioneer of that. But I remember
it's not only the Greeks.
No, it's not only the Greeks, but they had a good hand in laying a lot of groundwork.
But the other thing I wanted to say before we forget.
Well, we've only got a couple minutes left.
With
in
drug companies and the medical establishment in the 20s and 30s, you had people like Royal Raymond Rife and Dr. Hoxsey and Wilhelm Reich. Royal Raymond Rife built the most powerful microscopes of his time, identified the cancer virus towards the end of the 20s, and was shut down by Morris Fishbein of the AMA, American Medical Association.
Wilhelm Reich was a philosopher.
Who tried to buy his system and then give him 1% while he would have made millions on the cure of cancer through electronic means, using Tesla technology to cure cancer. Now, alternate energy, the cure of various diseases, it's been around. But if the public doesn't wake up, if people don't demand and investigate what it means to demand progress, investigate, question everything, go to your library, do some research, go to the internet.
Support your public access.
Support public access television and make your own show. Don't just take it because I'm saying it. If you don't agree, come on here and explain yourself.
Try to get a word in. Try to get a word in on Aristedes. Try and get a word in on Aristedes.
Somebody help me!
I can remember Aristotle said that let's say it's based on the society was based on slaves, and ever it would have to be so until or unless the loom learned to weave. That's what's going on. The loom is learning to weave, and we're still used to people doing having input. They've got to get a link between what they call supply of actual goods and services and demand, the means in the hands of the people.
And trickle down never worked. You know that.
Well, you interrupted.
For the 700 billion
but you need
tax
supply
cut,
and demand.
They figured out that 33% of that comes back in. Okay? For the stimulus and for unemployment benefits and other similar type things, 130% comes back.
You heard it here, folks. You wouldn't hear this anywhere else but in public access. And you heard it from Aristedes DuVal. And he's got Philip Aristedes DuVal. And it's a pleasure.
So good.
Thanks for the good words about the passing of our dear friend.
And Clint Freeman. I didn't even have a chance to say that our public access producer, Clint Freeman, from the Love Cats and MSO and Four Horsemen, passed away about a month and a half ago.
Sorry, I didn't know
Clint
him.
Freeman.
Yeah.
And
I loved him.
God bless you, Clint, wherever you are in public access heaven.
And one and all.
He produced a lot of shows. Clint Love or Spencer.
And we agree two things.
Clint Freeman.
C-SPAN and public access are the two jewels in the crown of communication.
The two jewels in the crown of the
and they
whole
should be supported.
communications media empire.
Okay,
These
very
are the
good.
two untainted, purely shining, pure light of whatever it is that we have that's worth anything in the media world, besides blogging and internet. But this You've got to support this, and if you don't think public access television makes the grade, then come down here and produce a better show.
All right.
Okay?
There's a challenge.
You can do it. We can do it.
Aristedes,
Wake up America.
Philip. No.
Yeah.
Aristedes, Philip, DuVal.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Thanks for viewing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. It was good to see you,
You're
brother.
welcome.